Hey, peace, everybody. This is Ty Canyon.
And peace, everyone. This is Benny Martin. This is Two MCs. Uh, Back another week for another episode. And glad for everyone to be joining us and taking a listen.
Sir, yes, sir. So what's been going on with you, bro?
Not much, man. Just been working on the podcast and a couple other business ventures, and just enjoying some time off from working and focusing on doing my own thing. How about
True.
you, bro?
Oh man, same here, man. Just working on the company. Just again, the podcast is takes up a lot of our time now. We're
Right.
we're we're slowly but surely building this thing brick by brick. I'm loving all the support and all the love we've been getting out there from everybody. So much appreciated to everybody who's been listening, been liking our social media, all of that. So much appreciated to everybody out there. But yeah, as far as me, I'm just trying to stay active, stay in the, getting back in the gym. Went for a 7K run today.
Nice, man.
The weather sucked here today in Jersey. The weather was kind of janky today. It was crazy too, because I usually run in the Mitzler Schloss Garden, and there was a lot of down trees on the grass, and because the last couple of days there's been some thunderstorms and stuff here, and I wasn't sure how much damage it had done, but it did quite a bit of damage. So there was a lot of down trees, a lot of branches on the road and everything. So yeah, everybody just be careful out there. Don't be out walking in the park, running in the park when there's thunderstorms and whatnot, because you might not get struck by lightning, but a tree might, and then you'll be collateral damage. So so definitely
Definitely don't
be
want
aware
that,
of that, and yeah,
man.
stay out of the rain, and stay out of those thunderstorms.
Yes, definitely want to keep our viewers alive.
Yeah, I want to keep y'all safe so y'all can keep listening to these jewels we've been dropping on the show.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so man, let's get into it. So last week we talked about choices. So this is going to be the second part of that, and we're going to talk about relationships. But just a quick recap. So last week we talked about the choices that we make, whether it's in our careers, whether it's entrepreneurial ventures we decide to go for, and just the communication and keeping those lines of communication open was probably the main thing that we wanted to emphasize when it came down to including those that are those that are around you that are important to you. So what are your thoughts again on that, Benny?
Yes, I in regards to choices and what we discussed last week, we definitely focus primarily on learning how to identify just the choices that you're making in regards to your career path, your life goals. um, and we wanted to get into relationships, but we didn't have the time for that. But just being able to identify what type of choices you're making, understanding yourself, and um, understanding the choices you're making based on knowing who you are as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I think that whenever you make a choice, whether it comes down to those things that I mentioned before, the stuff that we talked about last week, or the topic this week, it's always important to keep that communication open, and let's get into it. So as far as relationships, I mean, what do you think? I mean, what are some things that what are some things that you think that people should look to I guess look for as far as importance when it comes to choosing a partner, and being in a long-term relationship? What are some of the things that people can do as far as that to ensure that goes well?
Definitely a good question. I think one of the key things that people can do to identify or to um, make a good choice in a relationship is to understand themselves, understand what it is that, or understand who they are as an individual.
Right.
Understanding what makes you happy
Mhm.
and what keeps you motivated as a person,
Right.
and identifying that in the person that you're looking for, and making a choice based on that.
Right.
So for example, uh if I'm a spiritual person and I love spiritual conversations, I love going out in nature, taking hikes, uh,
Mhm.
love going to the bookstore, picking up different books and reading about different topics. Knowing those things, knowing those are the things that I like and uh, gravitate to, that will help me understand like what type of person I should look for, or what type of
Mhm.
qualities I should look for in another person. Also, my temperament, my uh, you know, just who I am as a person on a day to day basis.
Right.
My qualities, my attributes, my uh, the things that make you tick, and the things that make you who you are on every day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, you're going to be spending a, a lion's share of your time with this other person. So it's always incumbent to share some of the same interests. Um,
Absolutely.
that's why I think you see a lot of people that do a lot of things like people that like to work out and things like that. Typically you're going to see them with another person that likes to work out for the most part. When you're with someone who's into music, you're gonna, chances are they're gonna be with another person that's somewhat involved in music or in that industry. Um, I mean, so definitely it that plays a huge role in that, as far as finding the right person and being in finding the right synergy with another person. Because if you
Absolutely.
don't share the same interests, I think it's very difficult to have a long-term relationship with someone. But another thing that I kind of see a lot, and also have kind of experienced myself, is being with another person who just wants to do the things that you do. I think that, and they never were into those things. I think that can be kind of a problem, as far as that goes, because I feel like going into a relationship, yeah, you may bring something new to that person, or you may bring a new activity or something like that to the situation. However, I don't think that when you're in a relationship, it should just be about you, or it should just be about that other person, and what, as far as what your interests are. And if that other person feels like, oh, well, I should like what you like because that's what you like. I mean,
Right.
I don't think that's the blueprint for a healthy relationship. I think that you should go into the situation, with that other person, and share those interests already, as opposed to having that come into play after the fact. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. Um, there's some instances where you'll meet someone who will introduce something to you that you
Mhm.
didn't know that you like.
Right.
And through their introduction, you figure out, hey, this is actually pretty cool. I like this. And um, that's something um, that you add to yourself and you
Right.
can share with that person. But then there's some things that you completely are against, or you might have some views or uh, uh, morals that if somebody drinks and you feel like
Hmm.
drinking is not for
Yep.
you, you just say, "Hey, I don't want to do that," and and then you go primarily,
Oh, I got some crack
uh,
over here. You want
right,
you want to take a hit? Like,
right, that's an extreme example, but uh, it makes sense,
right.
you might somebody might introduce something to you that goes completely against who you are as a person, and you
Right.
say, hey, that's just not what I want to do. But then you might have a person that's everything that they do is something that you don't want to do, so
Right.
they're like,
Right.
okay, when are we going to have time to um, share interests,
Right.
when we don't have
Right.
anything in common?
Mhm.
So just being realistic about what type of person you are, what you're willing to compromise for, and the things
Mhm.
that you're not willing to compromise for, and understanding what those are and where those, um, those lines cross,
Mhm.
and just being honest and open about it. For me personally, I know there's a lot of things that I just don't do. Like, I love my interests. I love the things that I do, and I spend a lot of time in those interests. So I don't really deviate from those a lot, which is okay for me. I accept that. Like, I'll go for a hike, and if somebody say, "Hey, let's go for a run," I mean, that's along the same line, so that's cool. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's just being having an understanding of yourself, knowing what type of person you are, knowing what the other person brings to the table, and knowing where you guys meet at.
Yeah, and I think that's perfect into what I wanted to talk about next is comparing your relationships with other people. I mean, that's something that I definitely see a lot. Um, talking about, I mean, it doesn't even have to be just in real life. It could be something that you see on TV, which is absolutely, not the way to look because it's television. It's scripted. It's, whatever. So is that something you see also? And how can people how is there a way for people to deviate from that, because it's there. I mean, you see, a lot of people see couples, they go on these, extravagant trips, they do these, crazy, they driving around in nice cars, and showing off, not just that, but just showing off a lot of the spoils that come um from everyday life. So I mean, what do you think? I mean, are there ways that people can avoid doing that, or is it inevitable?
Um, I think there are ways to understand that you are being influenced by what you see on TV.
Right.
I think that takes time. I think that takes enough experiences where people find out that, you know, there's more than to a relationship other than what I see on the surface.
Right.
Um, but you never know, man. Some people might get married and stay together for a long time from that. So I'm pretty sure there's cases where that has happened. So some people live their lives by that, and will and being that I've never lived that life to that extreme, um, I can never say whether or not that has brought someone happiness. I'm pretty sure someone has become happy from that. But understanding that um, those views are not your own, and if you're trying to find happiness and love in someone, you really need to understand who you are, because if you under the surface you have a person in there that has certain requirements and needs, but you're looking at TV and they're showing you what it is that uh, what society looks at as a good relationship or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a perfect person and stuff like that, you will go and chase that, but
Right.
the inner self that is within you is going to show you that that isn't what you really want.
Mm-hmm.
So having a good relationship and understanding yourself um, will will definitely reveal will definitely reveal that those views are not your own.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that life will always pin you against that. If you're the inside of you is different than what is uh, being shown in the media.
Yeah, definitely. And then the whole premise of, making a choice that's predicated on someone else's situation. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster, in my view. But again, as you pointed out, I mean, some people may have had good relationships, and we like to hear, like if you're watching on YouTube, or you check out listen to the show, and you on our Facebook, shoot us a comment, tell us, hey, I've been with this person for 40 years, and we saw it on an episode of the Jeffersons or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever was out 40 years ago.
Right.
And and we made a decision that was based off of that, and we're together, and we're enjoying life. Then that's great. We think that's awesome. But I think
Mhm.
that for the majority, I think that that's definitely probably not the best way to go. We kind of talked about this a little bit offline, but just this whole idea of learning from other people's mistakes, and
Absolutely.
and that sort of thing, and that whole premise, that a wise person doesn't learn from his own mistakes. He learns from other people's mistakes. I think that
Absolutely.
really reigns true when it comes to relationships. However, we don't always have those situations that we can compare to others. So maybe looking at things from a negative standpoint, if you see something, whether it's in the media or on TV or whatever it is, and you see that there's something negative going on, maybe you can learn something from that, and not incorporate it into your relationship, or keep you from doing it in your relationship. I mean, what do you think about that?
And when you say looking at something that's negative, meaning
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
an image that you might see about a relationship on the media, but
Right.
showing the negative aspect of it, seeing
Yes.
the things
Basically
that
the
you don't
opposite.
necessarily right.
Yeah, like, yeah, instead of seeing the person, the happy couple in the Rolls Royce on a trip to Dubai, that sort of thing. If they see something that's negative, like, I don't really want to make any, but people can kind of form their own opinion,
Right.
or their own view of what that might be. Can people learn from other people by seeing things and making the situation more positive?
Absolutely. There is a show. I don't know the exact title of it, but it's based on teens becoming moms. Have you ever seen
Yeah.
that show?
Isn't it like
Um,
Teen Moms or something like that?
yeah, something like that. But it shows girls in high school who become moms at an early age, and the perils that they go through as being early, you know, moms at an early age.
Hmm.
And um, I think that the message is definitely there to help young women understand what you could possibly go through if you have a child at a young age,
Right.
which is really good. People need to see that.
Hmm.
And I think when it comes from a realistic standpoint, it could definitely be beneficial because we see a lot of shows and media that drive negativity for the purpose of money.
Right.
just to get people to watch and listen.
Hmm.
And
Like
you know,
reality shows and things like that.
and then people would think that's cool,
Yeah.
that type of behavior. And like what is it, road rules and
Oh, like Love and
what's the
Hip Hop.
Jersey Shore,
Yeah.
Love and Hip Hop, like they
Hmm.
actually, like, they drive content based off of the stereotypes and how those relationships act in front of the
Right.
camera,
Right.
and people think that that's cool. And let me go find a girl like that, and just create these moments, like,
Right. Right.
um not necessarily because it's cool, but because it sells. And
Hmm.
they look at the stuff that's on TV, and then they dress like that, they find women like that, and then their relationships are similar based on what they're seeing. And
Right.
it's just because they're putting that content in their mind, and they think that's something that's uh well, I honestly not gonna say that. I'm just gonna say that, oh, that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it just
yeah. I mean, the
yeah,
whole road rules thing, that was funny because like that does definitely shows like what era we grew up in.
right, right. I
You
think
know,
that
that
was
was
like the first introduction of that, wasn't it?
a
Like,
reality shows.
yeah, that type of
No,
like real world.
Real World was the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah,
Re-
that was the first one, or at least the first one that was like super popular.
mhm.
Um, and then yeah, and then I think then it was that one, and then it just kind of took off from there. Never really been a fan of reality TV. Just me personally. I did watch The Real World when it first came out. I remember Heather B from she's like on Sway in the Morning. She's the rapper, Heather B.
Yeah.
She was
Mhm.
on that show, and that was dope.
I
I
didn't know
like
that.
that. Yeah, yeah. She was like one of the first contestants. So shout out to Heather B,
Right, right.
Heads only knew. So but yeah, man, I think that think people definitely could get caught up in that, but I think also that people can also look at the situations that happen on those shows, and maybe they don't want to act like that. Maybe they
Mhm.
don't want to be acting, bring those things, those negative portrayals in those negative situations into their relationships. And that's something I think that, so I think it can go both ways. You can look at it from one perspective of oh, we gonna, this is how we gonna act, like this, whatever. But then no, we ain't gonna act like that. We gonna be cool when we go out in public. We're not gonna put on airs, and we're not gonna make basically cause a scene out in public and things of that nature. So that's definitely there's definitely ways that two different ways that you can look at that. So again, I mean, we want to look at, so when you're talking about choices, um, we also want to look at the whole thing with cultivating the time that it takes to cultivate a relationship. So like I know for myself, and I'm probably might make ruffle some feathers with this, with those that listen, but from a personal level. But I think a lot of the relationships that I was in the past, I didn't take enough time to see if this was the right person to be with, or the right situation. um I think when you're young, you got a lot of things going on, a lot of things going on hormonally, a lot of things going on, from different, you listen to different people, you listen to older people, um, and they might tell you one thing, but you're feeling another thing. What do you think? I mean, how long, or how long should it take for a person to know whether this person is the right person? Or is there no way to know? And you just know.
That's a really good question. I think there are situations where when you know,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it comes from a internal feeling.
Right.
Um, I don't think there's a time frame on that.
Mm-hmm.
How long it would take for you to get that understanding. I think it just happens when it happens.
Right.
Um, there was a I'm gonna give an example. There was a situation I was in years ago, and it was, I would say, maybe 6 to 8 months down the line in a relationship, and there was a situation that happened that made me realize that this person was the one. Now, of course, that relationship didn't turn out. Um, I mean, we're not together,
Mm-hmm.
um, but there was something that I saw in that woman um, that helped me to say that, this is the person that I want to, at least spend some time with, getting to know
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more. So doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to turn out in your favor, but
Right.
you definitely want to spend some time analyzing and seeing what the person, or what type of person uh, that mate is,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing if that person's right for you.
Right.
But that
Yeah.
can
No.
take
Yeah.
any amount of time. There's definitely um,
Yeah.
no time.
Yeah. I mean, but do you think that from person to person? So if we're talking about a young person, so basically anybody under 30, put it in
Mhm.
that category. Um, so or with older people, so anybody over, let's say anybody over 40. I know I said 30 and lower and 40 and over, but I think that 30 the 40 range is a bit, you know is I think it's a bit questionable in that area, but let's just say 30 to 40, 30 and under, and 40 and over. So do you think that when you're a little bit older, you're able to kind of make a better decision when it comes to whether you want to be with somebody a lot faster? Or do you think, when you're younger, it's like, okay, I can make this choice now because I got the rest of my, I got a much longer, time to make mistakes, I guess you can say.
Mhm.
Um, is that something that comes into play? Or does it not matter? Or does it not even matter? It should be, you should wait and make sure that this person is the right one, regardless of what age you are.
Mhm. I think it varies depending on the person. I've seen young people get married in their early late 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and that are still married now.
Right.
And I see people that are in their 30s, 40s that aren't.
Right. Yeah, subjective.
So it varies. I definitely believe that as you get older, you start to understand more of what you do and what you want out of life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, that doesn't necessarily always ring true.
Right.
But I don't know, man. That's a I don't
That's
think
a
that
tough question. I mean, I
that's
think I
definitely a
think
tough
for
question.
anybody, would say, oh, well, it's subjective. I think it depends on the person. It depends on, where that person is from a financial perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a just an overall just being, mature, from maturity perspective. It just
Absolutely.
really depends, because you can be a 45-year-old immature person,
Absolutely.
but you could be a 21-year-old mature person,
Absolutely.
and so I think, yeah, I think it's definitely subjective, when it comes to that. And yeah, like you said, I mean, you can't really put a time frame on it either. You kind of just know,
Right.
for the most part. But I do think that there should be a period in time where you do kind of get to know a person. Um, whether you decide to cohabitate with a person for a specific period of time before you make the next step, whichever, whether you're into marriage or you're not, whether you decide to just live apart, for time period, you get into a relationship, you stay kind of in your separate corners, and then once whatever time frame hits, then you decide to cohabitate, and then you can, then you stay in that situation for a while, and then you go to the next level. So yeah, I think it's definitely subjective, but I do also think that there should be a bit of a period where you build up to a certain level. I'm not a big fan of meeting a person and then a month later moving in with them. I mean, that's just, I think that's a little bit much. But for some people that might be what they want to do. And we're not here to knock that. We're not here to deter people from doing that. Again, the whole the whole purpose of our show is to get people to look at things from a different angle, from two people like us who've been through a lot. We've had a lot of experiences, and travel around the world, lived around the world, and now we're here, trying to bring this to you, so you can kind of get an idea of what it is that you might want to look for, whether it's in the current situation you're in or in a situation that hasn't occurred yet. So what do you think, man? I mean, what should people look for as far as as far as that? I mean, my thing is, take your time. You got plenty of time to find, that person, also knowing what you're looking for. You mentioned that before. Finding someone who shares your interests, and then of course, like, the honesty factor of it. Don't go into a situation, lying about, what you got, and like, and all of that. I mean, especially when it comes to like finances and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen that wreck a lot of relationships and a lot of situations. And it is a factor, especially now, where there's so much uncertainty when it comes to the financial situations and everything, and then with employment and all that. So being honest about what you bring into the relationship from that standpoint, and then also any past relationships, be honest. I tell my girl, all the time about, the things that I went through in my previous relationships. And so she understands who I was, in contrast to who I am now. I'm a much different person now than I was even a year ago, or well, I should say, well, 2 years ago, before me and my girl started going out. So I mean, so what do you think, man? I mean, what do you think people should look for? Do you think it's the same stuff that I mentioned, or do you have anything you want to add to that?
Uh, I think again, this goes back to having a realistic view of what you're looking for. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, um, look at yourself. Look at the situations you came out of. Look at how you were raised. Look at what you bring to the table. Um, is the person that you look at in the mirror, is that person um, long-term relationship worthy? Do
Right.
you have your finances set up? Do you have um, a lifestyle that is conditional, or
Mm-hmm.
if that's the right word for it.
No,
But if
yeah,
have
absolutely.
the lifestyle that fits, you know, a person who's looking for something long term?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you want to look at yourself and say that, you know, I have set up myself for what I'm looking for. You
Right.
want to be the person that, um, if I'm looking for a long-term relationship, if I'm just looking for one night stand, if I'm looking for this or that, just be realistic about what you're looking for, so that the decisions that you make when you approach someone aligns to what it is that you're looking for. Um,
Absolutely.
and be real with that person. Let them know, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking for. Um, you know, does this align with you?
Yeah.
Most people don't come out the gate like that, like, you
No.
know, uh, putting everything out on the table. But
Right.
there's ways to fill a person out to see where something is going.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say just understand how your language can be used to prod and poke at what it is that you're looking for. Hey, you know,
Mm-hmm.
this is that, and this is this, and you know, but just being realistic, knowing yourself, knowing what it is that you're looking for, knowing your history, knowing your family's history,
Mm-hmm.
um, knowing if you're damaged, knowing where you are psychologically,
Yeah.
all those things, you know, they all play a part of a healthy relationship. Um, so having a good understanding of who you are as an individual would definitely help to um, make a good choice on a relationship.
Yeah, definitely. Cause yeah, knowing yourself, and not just knowing yourself, but loving yourself is gotta be the number one thing that you should aspire for before even getting into a relationship. I mean, if you don't have those two things, then your relationship with another person, it can't work, because you don't have that same, if you can't love yourself and respect yourself, how can you respect another person? You know,
Absolutely.
it's very vital, and I'm definitely glad that you brought that up, because yeah, that's something that for sure is something that, when we're making choices with regard to who your partner will be and who you will, spend your life with. Yeah, you definitely have to have that love for yourself and that respect for yourself. And then, and of course, if you're in a situation and you're not, you know, coexisting with this person, and you're not on the same page, it's never a bad idea to just get out of the situation. I mean,
Right.
I know, I mean, I'm kind of speaking from experience, but sometimes things just don't work. Sometimes
Right.
you outgrow a person, you outgrow a situation, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's from my perspective. I'm not the type. I don't think that, from my perspective, I think that staying in a situation where you're not happy, you're not being fulfilled, you're not, on the same page with this person. You've tried to do, to remediate all these things, but it's not working. So what are you waiting around for? It's just not a situation that's going to work for you. So that'd be another thing that I would probably add is, don't be deterred by what other people will think if you get out of a situation that you're not comfortable in. And that can apply to relationships, that can apply to anything. So just be true to yourself, and just be aware of what it is that you want to get out of a situation, and not what other people think or what the other person in the relationship is going to think. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you got to love yourself, you got to respect yourself. And if you're not happy and you're staying in a situation, then you how can you love yourself? How can you respect yourself? So
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And just to piggyback off of what you just said,
mhm.
definitely having a good understanding of who you are and what you want um, will definitely help you to identify that early on. Um, but again, there's situations where, like even when we talk about with jobs and other choices, um, we tend to stay um, for the benefits. Sometimes a person will stay in a relationship because it's financially better for them,
Right.
or because that person might give them something that's really good, or
Absolutely.
you know, taking it to the bedroom. Um, that's truth.
Yep.
Um,
Facts.
or that
Facts.
person just might be very appeasing.
Hmm.
It might give them what they want, and things of that nature. And but underlying, they realize there's something that this person is not giving them internally.
Right.
This person isn't feeding, uh, like let's say, you receive love a certain way, and that person's not giving it to you the way that you receive it. Or this person might be verbally abusive, or um, anything that
Right.
does not sit right with you, and you're making a decision to stay for a specific reason, but underlying, that you shouldn't be there.
Right.
Um, just be mindful that those choices that you make uh, to stay could end up coming to bite like later on in life.
Yeah. Come back to haunt. Yep.
Right, right. Because you can grow to resent someone when you knew early on that you could have avoided that situation entirely,
Hmm.
just by making the decision to say, like, no matter how good this certain area of this relationship is, truthfully, I don't really feel comfortable in this relationship.
Right.
And you got to be really sure and honest with yourself about that,
Hmm.
understand it, like you said, have a love for yourself, you
Hmm.
know, like, I will not tolerate this. These are things that um I just won't compromise no matter what. And so that you can make those sound decisions early on, to where you don't end up hating a person, or
Right.
pointing a finger at a person when you could have made that decision, to
Yeah. Definitely.
not be there. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure, bro. Because again, like I think that being in a situation, I mean, yeah, you do have those externalities that do keep you in situations. If you got kids, that makes it even tougher, because you don't want to necessarily break up the family because of you know whatever you got going on with the wife, with your wife or your significant other or whatever. But at the same time, you don't want to stay in a toxic situation, because kids are very perceptive and they can pick up on these things, and you don't want to have any, give them any type of traumas or anything like that they'll carry on into their relationships when they get older. They might see, oh, mommy and daddy are fighting, or mommy and daddy aren't talking to each other. They might get the perception that this is normal behavior, and again, I mean, you can't sometimes, yeah, people have disagreements, people go through that, but if it's happening constantly, that's not a good situation for anybody to be in. And if you're, if your children see that, again, that's something that can carry on with them as they grow. So maybe, yeah, it might be tough at first, to leave that situation and to kind of, split things up. But sometimes you got to do that for the kids, so that they don't see all the negativity and all the problems that permeate in the relationship, and that's just, that's something that I've had to take into consideration. And it's not easy. It's hard, but sometimes it's better to just, you know, divorce yourself from the situation, for lack of a better word, and then try to make it work, from a distance. Try to make things, make it a better situation for everybody involved, and then try to keep it positive as much as possible. So, what's your thought?
Absolutely. It's never an easy decision to make when kids are involved. But again, like you were saying, kids are very perceptive, um, and it's always, I would say, beneficial to keep positivity and love in the environment. And if that means to separate, then you know maybe that's what's best long term.
Right.
It might hurt at the beginning, but it might prove to be beneficial in the long term. Um, but maybe there's a way that you can also work it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some people seek counseling, and
Yeah.
um, I'm pretty sure there's situations where that has come out to be very beneficial. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
I've seen situations on both sides where um, you know people have decided to stay, and it has worked out, um not worked out for the benefit of the family, but um hold on, let me back up a little bit.
No, you good. You good, bro.
um no, I've my experience with people who have stayed in a relationship when it was past its time, especially when it was kids, um it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of a situation where it has, um, to be honest. And I think when they go into it, they believe that staying in the relationship and staying for the kids, that it will work out long term, and the kids will be better off, and the family will be better off. But if you know early on that the relationship isn't working, um, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to continue that way. Uh,
Right.
so I honestly believe that, um, just from experience and what I've seen in other relationships, that is probably been more beneficial to separate if things aren't if you can't find a common ground with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
and um, do what's best for the children. You know,
Right.
if you promote an environment of happiness and well-being, then I believe that the children will be better off. Um, if there's people out there where you stayed with your partner and it's worked out for the kids and worked out for the family, please definitely comment, let us know. Because
Yeah.
I honestly don't know any.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I would definitely love to hear, where that has worked out,
Mhm.
for the benefit of the whole.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, because you mentioned before about therapists or counseling, and me myself, I've never been to a relationship counselor, but I have spoken to a therapist about situations that I've been in, and it's always been well, I shouldn't say always. The last person I talked to actually was a tremendous help for me, because I was able to talk about a lot of things that were on my chest that I just need to get off. And sometimes you can't bother your family with this stuff. You can't talk to your girl about everything that's going on with you, because sometimes it involves her. And so I'm actually a big proponent of you know, speaking to someone, whether you want to call them a counselor, whether you want to call them a therapist, whether you want to call them a whatever. Um, if you feel like you need to get things out, then it doesn't hurt, to do that, and I think the same can apply for relationships. If if talking to each other doesn't work, maybe you need a mediator in there that's impartial, that can give you to some sound advice, and give you a differing perspective than what you're currently getting, because you try to involve, family members, you try to involve acquaintances, whatever, chances are one is going to side with the other, but if you can bring somebody into the fold that doesn't know you, that doesn't really, I mean, I'm sure they care, but they're not going home with you, so they're not spending all this time with you. They're not like, you're not hanging out on the weekends with this person. So having somebody come in and can be that middle ground and can say, hey, I'll use my name, Ty, you're not, listening enough to your girl, or girl, you're not listening to Ty, you need to, Ty, you need to be more romantic. Girl, you need to be less nag, you know what I mean? Like, never hurts to be able to go into an office, talk it out for an hour or so, however long it takes, if that's what you want to do, if you want to try to work it out, you want to try to work through these issues, it doesn't hurt, in my opinion. But again, it may not be for everybody. Some people might feel like telling somebody their business, they're not there against that, and that's totally fine. I'm just saying, from my perspective, talking to somebody about my problems and not internalizing them, and letting things out, was a tremendous help for me, and it also helped me to become a better communicator with my spouse. So yeah, so that's definitely something that people should think about, maybe.
Absolutely, it's definitely good to have a unbiased uh, viewpoint of yourself and your relationship. Um, Someone who's able to give you a real uh, no shit, like this is
Yeah.
what I see from you, and this is probably what you need to change, because obviously, when you're dealing with family and friends, um, they have a little bit more bias than someone
Hmm.
who doesn't know you. You know,
Right.
you know, the good thing about having opinions from friends and family is that they know you. They
Right.
know what type of person you are, and um, they know they kind of have a better understanding of what you're looking for.
Hmm.
Um, but the good thing about therapists and people who don't know you is that they can tell you something without getting feelings involved or anything like that. So it's good to bounce those opinions off each other
Right.
and have a holistic view of of who you are. But definitely seek counsel from people who are definitely very reputable,
Hmm.
um, and people who are definitely going to give you um, the real no shit about your situation. Um, don't go looking for someone to validate your opinion. Just go to be open, and to really see into who you really are. Because sometimes we don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Because we have blinders on, a lot, especially me, because like I feel like I'm right about everything, when it comes to like when it comes to like my relationship and stuff like that. I'm like, man, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever, like that. But a lot of times I'm wrong, but I can also admit when I'm wrong too, and I think that's also part of it. Also, is when you making choices as far as finding in your relationships is putting your ego aside, and if you feel if like you're wrong, just admit it. I'm wrong, messed up, whatever. Let's keep it moving. But yeah, definitely when you in a situation where you can talk to an impartial mediator, it definitely can help you to take those blinders off and maybe see the errors in your ways and make changes that can improve the situation. So I totally agree with that, man. It's definitely a good way to make things a little bit more transparent for the both of you, and it may make some things more clear to your partner as far as how you actually are, and then vice versa. It may show you, how you're, things that you're missing out on and things you're missing with your partner. So yeah, definitely, man. It's been a great talk, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing to what you
Mm-hmm.
just said that and also sometimes that might help to validate something that your partner might be saying, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't take the word from them.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
uh, somebody else needs to tell us to, oh, that person's right.
Right.
I'm like, oh, well, thank you for saying that. Well, sometimes it's more shock, like you're not,
Right. 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 Right.
but sometimes it's good to hear someone else say that,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you might be against something um, from an internal perspective,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, not being able to objectively look at it and say that see that person is actually right. So it helps you to
Absolutely.
see that this person could also be giving you some sound advice, but because of some internal bias that you have, you might be tuned out to it. So that's also a good place to hear that as well.
For sure, man. That was dope, man. Like we mentioned throughout the show, if other people, if people out there, the viewers, the listeners, have any opinions about any of this, whether you agree, disagree, you tired of me licking my lips during the show. My lips been hella ashy during the show. So you been watching on YouTube, y'all like, why is this dude keep licking his lips? Because I'm ashy than a mug. Okay, that's what it is. So whatever. We all go through it, especially black men. But anyway, we could probably edit that out. No, I don't care. Anyway, no, man, this has been a dope show. Again, we want people to shoot us some comments, give us some suggestions, let us know what we can improve. Let us know, about situations that you may be in, whether you agree, disagree with what we're saying, or indifferent. We want to hear about it. So please hit us up on our Facebook page. It's at Two Minds Connect. So the number 2 Minds Connect. That's our Facebook page. You can also hit us up on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is at the word 2 Minds Connect. And then we want to thank our sponsor, Canyon 3D Incorporated, the greatest 3D printing company in the world. Mark that. Yes, sir. And then, yeah, man. So again, thanks everybody for the support. Thank you for the views, for the follows, for the listens. You can always check out our podcast on all your podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher. We're on all of them, so check us out. Benny, any last thoughts, bro?
I'm gonna keep it simple. No, just appreciate you for tying all that up. Again, shout out to Kenyon 3D, our sponsor, from my brother Ty here. And just thank you to all the listeners and the people out there that continue to listen and support. And thank you for anyone else who is going to be listening to us in the future. We appreciate your love. Yeah, and just let's just keep doing it. And thank you for another show, man.
No doubt, bro. Well, from all of us over here at the Two Minds Connect podcast, Ty Canyon, I want to say peace to everybody out there. My man Benny.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.
Do you have a need for 3D printing products and services? Look no further. Canyon 3D is a retailer of 3D printers from companies like Creality and ANET, along with being producers of our own PLA filament in over 50 colors and patterns. We also have a wide selection of 3D printing resins from Applied Lab work that are built for Formlabs, Anycubic, and Moai printers, just to name a few. We are also a 3D printing service bureau specializing in stereolithography and FDM technologies, using only the best professional 3D printers to produce virtually any model. So whether you need a medical, dental, or general purpose model, we've got you covered. So check us out today at www.canyon3d.com. Place an order using the promo code podcast and get a 15% discount. This offer won't last, so act fast to take advantage of this special offer. Peace.